All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, this lesson is going to be about the follow up to the conspiracy to kill Lincoln. Remember, Lincoln is shot and killed, but those other guys that were planned to be killed, the vice president, secretary of state, um, the General Grant, you know, so what happened with them? How come we never heard about these guys? Just only the assassination of Lincoln. We're going to get to that today. Okay. Now, really quickly, here's a picture from Lincoln's second inauguration address. So this is when he got elected for the second time. If you look at the green circle, that's Lincoln. Now, if you look at the blue one just above to the side, that's John Wilkes Booth. This is 4 months before Booth shoots and kills Lincoln. Nobody would have thought that guy would kill Lincoln. So here is your warm up picture. All right. Now, here's the thing. Um, the question is asking you to analyze this picture and tell me, what do you think this artist is trying to say about Booth? So, some people in class noticed, yeah, there's a something behind Booth, you know. So what is that? What is look at the gesture, the hand gesture and the body language. What do you think it's what is it doing? You know. So what do you think this artist is trying to say? Now I looked up this picture and apparently this was made like in the late 1860s, early 1870s, somewhere around there. So those people, whoever made this picture, they didn't get all the information like we do now. So what do you think they're trying to say about Booth? Okay. So think about it. Write your response. Pause the video because we're moving on in three, two, one. All right. So, like I said a minute ago, the people left on the list to kill were Secretary of State Seward, and the people who were in charge to kill him was Lewis Powell, the trained killer, and David Harold. Now, for Vice President Johnson, the guy who was supposed to kill him was the guy in the black and white picture there. That is George Ozerodt. And General Grant, that guy who's supposed to kill him is the guy in the colored picture. That is Michael O'Laughlin. Now, remember, they're all supposed to attack at the same time, around 10. Okay? At that time, Seward, Johnson, Grant were either asleep or about to go to sleep. Okay? And the thing is, too, each guy was in different spots, even Booth. Okay? So the thing is, you have to remember this is before radios, before even electricity. So these guys wouldn't know if the other guys were successful until they met each other. Okay? Until they saw each other again. Then they would know, hey, did you kill your guy? Oh, okay, I killed my guy. Did you kill your guy? Things like that. Okay. So let's start with Secretary of State Seward. Here's the thing. He was actually recovering from an accident that he got like a week or two before Lincoln got killed. His carriage basically broke down and he like flew out the window, and he like hit the ground hard. I mean, not just a little boom, that's it. No, he was stumbling around and he busted his neck pretty well. Now he didn't die, okay, but he had to wear this brace on his neck. Nowadays, we basically like do like a surgical fusion of the vertebrae and stuff like that, but they didn't have that technology back then. So they basically put this brace, which is also now known as a surgical collar, on him. The thing is, you have to remember this is the 1860s, so this thing was massive, and he had to like turn like this, like his whole body had to turn, instead of him turning his neck. He couldn't do that. Okay. Now, around 10 p.m., Harold, who's driving the little wagon, and Powell's riding shotgun, and they get to Seward's house. Now, Powell, remember, is a trained killer, and he says to Harold, "You stay here. I'm gonna go inside and kill Powell." Okay? He's like, "Okay, got you. I'll stay here." Like, okay. So Powell gets down, goes to the door, starts knocking on it. A little maid lady comes up, and he says, like, "Hi, I'm from the doctor's office, and I got some prescription medicine for him." And the maid's like, "Oh, come on in. He's right up the stairs to the left." So he's like, "Okay." So he walks in. He's like, "All right, I'm in." And he goes towards the door. And outside the door, though, Seward's son is sitting there. And he basically says, "Hey, where are you going?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm here from the doctor's office. I have a prescription." And the son goes, "Well, we just came from the doctor's office earlier today. And I know for a fact you don't work for him." So Powell, realizing that his cover is blown, takes out a gun, aims it at Seward's son, and click, it's a misfire. Again, you have to remember these guns are flintlocks. They have to have the powder, the ball in there. The hammer has to be cocked back. There has to be a little cap on top in order for the gun to shoot. And any of this stuff could cause a misfire. No powder, the powder is wet, the cap is bent or wrong, you know. So that's what happens. The gun misfires. So instead, what he does is he basically flips the gun and smashes the son across the head. Okay. And now you have to remember these guns are not like how guns are now, where they're made of like a hard plastic, fiberglass, things like that. This is basically a solid chunk of wood and metal. So it's basically like a beat him with like a baseball bat in a sense. He hit him so hard that he fractured his skull, and the son went into a coma for 60 days. Now, at this point, Powell takes out his knife, opens the door, and there he sees Seward. Now, another thing you have to remember is this: they didn't have electricity. So all they had was like candlelight. And if you've ever been in a room with like one candle, it's hard to see, you know. Now, what I mean by that too is to the side, Powell didn't see that there was a bodyguard and a nurse there named George Robinson. So he sees Powell with the knife and he attacks him. And they're wrestling a little bit back and forth. And then Powell basically gets his knife and slices Robinson right across the forehead. Robinson falls back, right? Now, this is the point where Powell jumps on the bed, takes out his knife, and he starts stabbing downwards. And he's yelling, "I'm mad! I'm mad! I'm mad!" Here's the thing: Seward, remember, wearing that brace, that big, huge brace, he didn't really die from it. He was stabbed a little bit here and there, was cut a little bit, but he didn't die because the brace was made of metal, and it was just like just slicing across. And again, he did get cut. Did get poked a little bit, but he didn't die. It wasn't any like really damaging wounds. All right. Now, while he's doing this, though, Robinson and two other guys, they jump on him and they're trying to get him off. They're pulling him back and forth, back. And then finally they get him off. They all fall off the bed. And then Powell pops up and runs out the door, runs down the stairs, looks outside, and his right is gone. Basically, Harold, when he heard Powell yelling, "I'm mad, I'm mad," he said, "I'm gone." He takes off on the carriage and he makes his way to the Navy Yard Bridge. That's where all the guys were supposed to meet up. Okay. Um, so now that his getaway right is gone, Powell jumps on a horse and start taking off. Right. Thing is, he didn't drive them there, so he doesn't know the way to the Navy Yard Bridge. And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go left here," and he starts writing. I'm gonna go right. And he's looking around like this doesn't look familiar. And he's like, I'm gonna go left. So he's just going through town, and he's going the wrong way. And he gets so lost that he basically is like realizes he can't go back, because if he goes back, they're gonna get him because they're already looking for him. So he ends up spending the night at a cemetery. Okay. Now Harold, whom left Powell, he makes his way to the Navy Yard Bridge, and there he sees Booth on a horse, and his leg is shattered. So he tells Booth, "Hey, we need to get you to Dr. Mudd's." So they go to Dr. Mudd, which is him in that picture right there. Um, and Mudd basically says, "Hey, your leg is shattered. I can put a splint on it, but you riding a horse, that's gonna be bad. It's gonna hurt you." Because remember, thing is, when you ride a horse, your leg doesn't just like you know stay off to the side or anything like that. It's hitting the horse on the ribs. You know, so yeah, it's a lot of pain. Okay. Now this one is one of my favorites of all the conspirators. This one's my favorite. Vice President Johnson, that guy right there in the picture, he checked into the Kirkwood House in Washington. So this is basically like a really big house and like a bed and breakfast, like a hotel. Okay. Um, Now the thing is, George Ozerat gets a room there, and around 10 p.m. he's supposed to attack President Johnson, who's basically went to bed now. Now, Ozerat's kind of like, kind of fidgety. He's like, oh man, I can't do this. Why can't I do this, man? So he decides to go downstairs, and because they have a bar. So he decides, I'll need some liquid courage. And he takes a shot. Okay, woo, all right. I still got some of the nerves. I'm going to take another shot. Takes another shot. Oh, all right. That drink was good. Let me get another one. Takes another one. So you can kind of guess what happens here. He drinks so much that he forgets why he's there. And he gets to the point where he's like all drunk. He's like, this isn't my house. I'm going to go. And he leaves the Kirkwood house and wanders the street aimlessly. He's looking around going, where is this place? I don't know this place. I'm going to go over here. And goes from road to road to road to road, ends up basically passing out on the streets of Washington. Now, the next morning, word's already spread. Lincoln is killed. Seward was attacked. So they asked President Johnson, hey, was anybody looking at you? Was anything strange happening? He's like, no, 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 no. I just went to bed, things like that. So then the soldiers and the police are basically go around to every room to ask people, hey, have you seen anything suspicious? La la la. So everyone's in the room except one person. So they open the room to George Ozerat and they see, yeah, the bed is still made, but the clothes are still here. There's a loaded gun and a knife between the mattress and the sheet. Now, somebody asked me in class yesterday, well, didn't they have guns back then? Couldn't you just carry a gun? Yeah, you could, but the thing is, you didn't have it, locked and loaded like Alzarat's gun was, you know, because remember this gun has a hammer, right? It's like this, and if you were to hit your hip on a wall or somebody bumped into you, that hammer might go down and now you got a hole in your foot, you know. So yeah, nobody really carried a loaded, you know, gun in their holster. You just didn't do that. You might have had the bullet in there with the powder and things like that, sure. But the thing is, you wouldn't have the gun locked and loaded, ready to go, just like the gun they found in there in his room. So he was found. He was arrested on April 20th, and they found him at his cousin's house. Now, Michael O'Loughlin was supposed to kill that man right there, Ulysses S. Grant. Now, just like Johnson, Grant was at a boarding house, like a whole hotel place. And O'Loughlin was basically just like looking at Grant, and he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go kill this man." No, no, no. There's a bunch of generals and soldiers around him. I'll wait till he gets in the hallway. Yeah, that'll be perfect. So Grant then starts going to his room, and he's there, and all of a sudden he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna kill him now." No, 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 no. Because if I shoot him or if I stab him, he's gonna make a sound. People are gonna come out of their rooms. They're gonna see me. Yeah, no, no, no. I'll wait till he goes to his room. Every time O'Loughlin was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do this," he found an excuse not to do it. And he never ended up doing anything to Grant. Basically, historians agree that he got cold feet. That's all it was, you know. Now, here's the thing. Next morning, when word comes around that, hey, Lincoln was assassinated, Seward was attacked, and things like that, um, they were like, was anybody like staring or anything suspicious, from the night before near General Grant? And people remember, yeah, there was this guy just like looking at Grant from a distance, and it wasn't just one time or two times; it was like three, four times. I mean, it's kind of creepy. So they basically detain him. They get O'Loughlin, and they're asking him questions like, "Why were you, witnesses say you were staring at him, things like that. Why, And O'Loughlin basically's come up with excuses like, "Hey, it's General Grant. I wanted to meet him, but I was shy, and it's very intimidating." And they were about to let him go, but then they come to realize, oh, he is part of this group. He is part of the conspiracy, you know, group of people who were going to kill Grant and Seward and Vice President Johnson and Lincoln. So, so instead of detaining him, they arrested him. Now, here's my question to you. When Powell jumped on Seward yelling, "I'm mad," that phrase mad has several meanings. One is like angry, upset, as you guys probably know. The other one that you may not know is the word is meaning crazy. So when he jumped on Seward and started stabbing him downward, saying, "I'm mad, I'm mad," do you think he was trying to say, "I'm angry"? Because remember, he was a soldier, he was a prisoner of war. Do you think he was trying to say, "I'm angry at you, Seward, for, you're the enemy and you did this to me. I had to go through hell because of you," and things like that? Or do you think he was trying to say, "I'm crazy, I'm nuts, I'm," you know, type of stuff? Which one do you think he was referring to? Angry or crazy? And why do you believe that? The writing prompts on the bottom there for you. And if you notice, there's a blue line. And that's basically where you're going to put either angry or crazy. Which one you believe he meant when he said, "I'm mad"? Which one do you think he meant and why? Okay. So once you answer this question, you're done with this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed it. With that being said, guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later.